Dear students, welcome to this lecture on business communication, and as you can see the topic before you is media interviews. We are on unit 5 and I am Dr. Tripti Barthwal, Director, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management and Development Studies, Lucknow. So, in the last lecture we have discussed about press conference and how when we have to pass information to the general public, then we use media to pass that information through press conferences. Now, in this lecture also we will refer or we will talk about something quite related to that when we want to pass information to the media and through the media to the general public, then we also go for media interviews. Now, what is a media interview? Media relations is a vital tool in the marketing kit of any business, because as we have been discussing in unit 5 that whatever information the company or any organization has to pass to the general public cannot be passed one to one to the people. So, we need a mass media. So, good relations with the media is very, very important, because it can make or mar the image of that particular organization. And this takes planning and must be tied to a company's business plan. So, this is not a one day activity that you decide one fine day that okay, I have to have good media relations, and then it will happen on its own. It is not going to happen like that. It requires a lot of planning, and that is why it should be tied to the business strategy of the organization, that how we are going to use the media to leverage our company's image before the customers and before the public and before all other stakeholders also. So, one very good way of using your media relations and to pass information and to pass a news story to the public is media interviews. Now, what is a media interview? It is a discussion involving questions and answers for the purpose of broadcast. We all know what is an interview. Interview is, on one side there is an interviewer who has certain questions, who has certain issues, concerns, and on the other side we have the person or the interviewee who has to answer that information questions, or who has to pass that relevant information. So, that is when such an interview is being conducted between the one side the interviewer is a person from the media, and the other side the interviewee is a person who is the representative of a company or a department or an organization or a country, then we call it a media interview. Media interviews could be either for print media such as newspapers and magazines, or electronic media such as for radio or television. So, it can be for any type of media. Now, types of media interview. The first type of media interview is a telephonic interview. Now, this telephonic interview when it will take place, it can be informed well in advance. Any type of media interview for that matter can be done well in advance. Well in advance information can be given to the person who is being interviewed, and then on the decided day the interview can be conducted, or it can be impromptu, that the media person calls a person and he asks certain questions to him or her. So, this can be done over the telephone. Then the second type of media interview, second way of conducting is through the satellite or the satellite interview, and you must have seen TV channels these days resorting to this mode of satellite interview. There is also known as a talkback interview, and all the persons sitting at different locations, they are connected through to the media channel through the satellite, and there is audio also and there is video also. And the third type of interview is face to face interview, wherein again this is also very common in news channels. Sometimes it is there in the print media also, where suppose a movie is releasing or a company is coming up with a new product, and there are 2-3 people from that company or 2-3 people from that movie who are answering to questions from the press reporter. In a face-to-face interview, there can be 2-3 anchors who can be interviewing 2-3 people, or there can be one anchor who can be interviewing a single person or a group of people. So, this is a face-to-face interview. So, now if I am an interviewee, let us say I am passing certain information, my interview is being taken. So, what should I take care of? The first thing is that preparation. I must be knowing that what type of questions will be asked, or what is the topic of the interview, what is the reason for conducting interview. Many times organizations themselves approach the media, different forms of media people to conduct interview of their representative or some person in the organization, so that it is again a promotional tool for the company, so that a lot of information about the company and its products reaches the customers. So, there can be preparation. First you have to anticipate what kind of questions can be asked, because okay, interview is being conducted for this purpose. So, you have to get all relevant material for it. Then second is appearance. You have to work on, you have to decide, there should be no last minute glitches. You have to decide that what you should be wearing during that interview. You should look professional, you should look prepared, and you should look neat. It should not look casual because appearance is very important. First impression is created by the appearance. So, people will judge you by that, and if they feel that you are very casual about the interview, then in that case they will whatever you speak, either they will not pay attention, or even if they will pay attention, they will feel that some person who is so unkept and not particular about himself or herself, what credibility does his words or her words have. Then the third thing is that you may have certain handwritten notes or certain printouts with you, because you have prepared a lot for the interview. You may be having certain fact sheet with you which you can quote during the interview. So, these all should be placed in a very organized manner. Because if they are not properly organized, then you will be struggling through them during the interview, and most of the time you will be looking into pieces of paper where they are, and you will be locating them, and your entire concentration will also go, and people will feel that you are lacking confidence. So, notes should be properly organized. There is no harm in referring to certain papers while giving an interview. All things you may not be able to remember also, but they should be properly organized. Then next thing is you have to research, and because you have to play to the audience gallery. So, in that case you should know that what kind of media house it is, who are its main audience, who are the people who watch this kind of channel or who read this newspaper, and according to their mindset or according to their perception, you have to you do not have to change information, but you have to change the way you present the information. This is very important, because ultimately what is the purpose of giving the media interview? It is to get a message across to the people, right. So, if that message is not going in the proper way to the people, or people are not interested in it, then the whole purpose is defeated. Then look interested. So, your entire body language should not be of a person in captivity or a person who is under burden or stress, that oh my God, what a big responsibility has been given to me, or it should not be of a person who is feeling nervous because he has been made to sit before a camera or made to sit before a person who is grilling him, but it should appear that you are very comfortable, you are very relaxed, and you are enjoying the interview because you want certain important information to be passed on to the people. Then nothing can beat the importance of communication. So, when you communicate to the media people, whatever answers you are giving, they should be very clear and concise and complete, but they should be prepared. You should try to remember all the points, but it should not be in a rote fashion that you have mugged up everything and it is just simply coming out like in a mechanical fashion. It should be there in your, everything should be etched in your mind, but it should come out, the flow should come out very naturally. As we see in movies and in dramas, people mug up their dialogues, but when they emote on the screen, people cannot know that they are emoting, or it is a prepared kind of a text. So, that should be there. Then don'ts for the interview. So, first thing is that you should avoid jargons, and you can see that what is a jargon. These are special words or expressions that are used by particular profession or group and are difficult for others to understand. So, for example, if a doctor is talking about an ailment or a disease and he is using too many technical terms, then that interview is waste. So, he must be able to speak in the language of the common people. So, similarly, if an architect is giving an interview and he is talking in lot of jargons, then again the public will lose interest. So, you have to, whatever technical words are there, you have to translate them into a more user friendly kind of a version. Then evade questions. So, there may be certain difficult questions which we will come to also, and but never try to jump on over a question, never try to, because the interviewer is also smart, and more than that the audience is smart. So, do not try to evade any question, because anyhow or the other the interviewer will come back to that question, or he will or she will highlight that point in your interview more than any other good things you have spoken in the interview. Then you should not speak badly of your competitors. The interviewer may try to incite you, he may try to encourage you to speak something about the competitor, but refrain from that, because if you speak badly of your competitors, you lose credibility. It is very easy to speak badly about others, but in that process you lose credibility, and your purpose should be to speak good about yourself and your company rather than running down your competitors. So, avoid that. And the last thing which you have to keep in mind is, do not say anything off record. The interviewer may be a very good friend, or he may say that I am putting the camera off, or I am putting the recorder off, or I am putting my pen down, and tell me something more. I will not record it, or I will not report it. But please be careful that you should not say anything beyond what you are supposed to say, because anything which you speak may not cause you harm immediately or your company harm immediately, but later on it is going to move to other people, it is going to travel to other people, and it is going to create a problem for you. Or there may be when your interview is being taken, the anchor may not divulge those details, but the camera person or the technical staff who is standing there may get some information which is not was not meant to be publicized. So, that can create a problem. Then important points for the interviewer, one should maintain cool during the interview, because there may be certain interviewees who may be very tough, or who may not be ready to answer questions, who may evade questions, who may look disinterested, who may be wanting to insult you, who may be very aggressive, but you should maintain your cool and calm, because you must remember that the interviewee has more at stake than the interviewer. How did the interviewer behave is not of that much importance for the audience. How did the interviewee behave, and what did he speak, and how much relevant it was, that is more important for the public. So, remember, and then be specific and brief. If you ask questions which run into 7-8 lines and lot of words and lot of twists and turns in the question, then the entire essence of the question is lost. Neither the interviewee can understand the question, and more than that, even the audience will not be able to understand what you wanted to ask. So, you lose your relevance as an interviewer. Now, as I said that there are certain difficult situations in an interview, media interview, and how do you handle difficult questions. Now, a difficult question is a question in which you may not be knowing the answer, you may not be wanting to tell the answer, you do not want to speak the truth and you do not want to speak false either, right, or you do not want to divulge the details as of now. So, these are all difficult questions, or you are being asked to compare your products with your competitors' products. So, these are all difficult questions. So, the first type of a difficult question is the acquisition posing as a question. The media person will throw some charge on you, some acquisition on you in the form of a question. Now, you may lose your cool because of that. So, if a reporter phrases a question in a way that seems hostile or accusatory, do not panic and definitely do not go on the defensive. If you go on the defensive and try, no, it has not happened like this, then probably the interviewer will get more chance to grill you, and even the audience will feel, okay, once you get on the defensive, then people feel that there is something fishy. So, you should maintain your confidence and you should say, yes, there are a lot of information, there is a lot of rumors about this, but this has not happened. Actually, the real thing is that it is an opportunity for me to tell what the real incident was. So, the second is the question about the competition. So, we have already discussed that pointing out flaws of the competition does not make you look good. Instead of bashing other brands, find a way to redirect the interview to focus on your company's qualities and strengths in the scenario. So, instead of saying, yes, I am make the best product, I am the best brand, say that I can't talk about what others are doing or what they are planning to do. What I can talk about is the USP of my brand. Then the hypothetical question, if the situation has not existed or it is not going to happen in the near future, still the interviewer wants you to answer such a question relating to such a situation. Responding to a hypothetical question with more speculation is not helpful to anyone, because the question itself is an assumption, and when you answer, you are increasing the number of assumptions in it. Stick to your talking points and only comment on topics that you can answer with certainty. Being sure to direct the conversation away from rumors. So, whenever such questions are being asked, try to bring it back to what you want to the people or what you want the interviewer to know. Then the repeat question. Many interviewers are very clever and they are very smart in asking the same question multiple times in different languages, in different ways. They will form the question differently and ask you, so that every time you are being asked the question, and if you falter here and there, if you are speaking a lie, then so many times the question is asked, somewhere or the other they will catch a point. So, firstly, you should remain cool in such a situation, and you should also, when the question is asked, you should again speak the same points over and over again. The question you do not know how to answer. Many times, there is a question which the right answer or the right details you may not be having. So, in such a situation, please do not try to answer the question. You may not know all of the facts about your company or about any topic which is being the subject of the interview. So, do not try to dodge the question also. Do not try to say, okay, I will answer this question little later or something of that sort. It is to tell the journalist that while you do not have the information in front of you, will get and contact him as soon as you have it. Just make it clear that I do not have the right answer or the right information, accurate information about this, but I will surely get back to you with the right information or with the person who is going to answer, who is going to rightly answer this question. Then next question can be question with wrong information. You know, the reporter or the journalist has given you a data, and that is a wrong data, and on that wrong data he is asking you a question. So, how do you handle that question? First, you have to correct any misinformation in the question before you answer it. So, I give you an example, like for example, the question by the interviewer is, I understand that 200 countries have signed the Convention on the Rights of Child. Right. So, this is the question, he has put a data before you, and you say you answer actually 191 members have signed, and then you continue with your answer. Do not overlook the wrong statistics. If you know the right statistics, kindly correct it, otherwise it will amount to you being agreeing to whatever statistics has been stated. Now, in media interviews, a very important and a very used, much used technique is that of bridging. Now, bridging is a technique that avoids the question and bridges the question to the interview's desired message. So, every time you are being asked a question which you do not want to answer, a difficult question. So, you should know how to, you should not make the other side understand that you are trying to dodge the question, but you should do it in such a way that the question also has been avoided and you have been able to pass on what information you wanted to pass on to the audience. So, here the bridging phrases are of handy to you. So, what are the bridging phrases? There are a lot of bridging, you can start your sentences with these bridging phrases, and it will help you to dodge the question or to redirect the question to the other answer to the points which you want to emphasize. So, let me add another thing to remember is the point is more to the point. What we are talking about here is the real issue, concern, problem is, what's important here is. Then other bridging phrases are just as important is, while this product is certainly important or this information is certainly important, don't forget, again you can start with your point. Then let's not forget, our role, job, task is, then our main priority, commitment, goal is, the fact is, then you can the fact is, and then you can start that the core gist of the matter is, again you can go back to your points only. Good question, but then that's an interesting question, let me remind you though that. So, these are the important bridging phrases. And then before the interview, what things you need to take care of? Firstly, immediately before the interview is going to start, you should have water, because water cools you, water relaxes you, and it gives you that kind of a little break so that you can be comfortable, you can be relaxed. And many times what happens when people are faced with questions, they are in a formal atmosphere or they are before cameras and lights, then what happens, their throat runs dry. So, they kind of stammer, they find loss of words, or they are not able to put the message in the right word. So, they kind of get, their mind gets lost. So, in order to avoid that, before the interview, just have a glass of water to relax yourself. Then the second thing which you need to take care of is visualization. You may be prepared a lot for the interview, you have a lot of information, lot of notes, lot of statistics, but it is also very important to understand that how the interview will occur. So, just close your eyes and try to get an image a video in your mind of how the interview is going to take place. You are going to be seated where, and just imagine the interviewer is sitting before you, and then he asks you the first question, what will be your answer, the second question, the third question, and what responses will you give. So, that is a visualization technique. It is of great help in getting you comfortable with the situation. especially if you are going for an interview for the first time, or you are very new to this technique. Many people have become veterans, they have faced lot of media interviews, so it is not a problem with them, but for new novices it is a good technique of visualization. And the third is deep breathing. You fall short of breath when you are nervous, when you are anxious. So, once the camera is on, or once the recorder is on, the media person says that now we have started the formal interview, what happens? Your heart suddenly starts beating fast, and you feel loss of breath. So, first take a deep breath before you start with the interview, and these three techniques, when you practice, you will be more confident, and you will be, because you are prepared also, the interview will go very nice. So, I am just reminded of media interview which Indra Nui, you all know, she was the CEO of PepsiCo, and when she joined PepsiCo, she kind of paid a lot of attention on making PepsiCo making products which have lot of nutritional value, and they are healthy, because soft drinks and companies are generally they are known for products which are not good for health. So, she took up on herself that Pepsi should also be indulging into products which are good for health. So, in an interview, when she came up with such products, there were people started enjoying those products, and in an interview a media person asked her that if you are so concerned about the nutrition and health of people, then why doesn't your company stop producing all those products which are not good for health? And she kept her cool, and she smiled, and she said that we are not here to tell people what they should have or they should not have. We are only here to give choices to the people. Ultimately, they need to decide. So, we produce good for health products and good for fun products, and we price them in the same price point. So, we are not producing good for health products at a higher price range, and we are also advertising them equally, and we are also taste is also good. It is not that good for health products are poor in taste. So, when we are giving everything equally to all the products, then it is for the customer to decide. So, this is how she handled this typical question so beautifully. So, I hope that you have understood the concept of media interviews. Thank you so much.